Hi there, my name is Cupicate, and welcome back to clangen with Sun Clan, our Royal Blood Challenge clan. So last time, we had a couple things happen that were pretty surprising. One of those is losing Puddlefawn suddenly to being hit by a monster, which means that there is now an opening for a noble, meaning knights could battle for such a place, but the clan is still shaken. She was a beautiful presence to always have around the clan camp, and now she is gone. Some hearts will be forever broken in silence. We also had little Leopard Kit join the clan, a new, small little hope on the future, but possibly a new rival for some of the peasants. Also, thanks to so many wonderful commenters, I found out through all of you that even if a cat reaches 12 moons, they may not necessarily become a warrior. It is now experience-based, which I think is excellent. I really love that they implemented this. So Tumblepaw is still an apprentice, even though he is 12 moons old. He's really pretty. I just noticed how beautiful this silverish gray against the nudish color is. So pretty. Anyways, let's get on with patrols. We're gonna watch our cats for a moment and see if possibly any of the peasants, once they come of age, may want to battle for knighthood, and if any of the knights may want to battle for nobility. Nothing of interest really happened on the last moon, but now it is the 9th moon, and the Leopard Paw touches noses with Model Bracken. They hope they will be a cool mentor that won't assign boring tasks, anything but gathering moss or tick duty. I genuinely think that Model Bracken is going to be an excellent mentor. Look at this baby! How cute did you get when you got older? Vengeful. That's not good. We do need to watch out for any cats that may appear to be conspiring against the crown. That is something that I always check before we go to the next patrol. Now, as decreed by the crown himself, all apprentices must go on their own when it is their first patrol. So we will add little Leopard Paw, who will go on their own hunting trip. And Leopard Paw caught a mouse. What a skilled young one. It looks as though Quillpaw has gotten older, larger, and has come into his own, but is still being apprenticed under the king himself. And because of Broken Star's influence, Quillpaw is becoming a very loving cat, but very skilled as well. Quillpaw was successful with Broken Star to catch a mouse, but Bubbling Lake and Tumblepaw continue to struggle in the training. They were not able to get a rat. This is a loss for both of them. Now it is the 10th moon, and Broken Star gathers the clan for a meeting. They have spent many moons training Quillpaw, and it's time for them to be granted their warrior name. Broken Star gives them the name Quillsnout and honors their warmth. But Broken Star also declares that Quillpaw did so well in the training that they will be granted knight status under his royalty. And again, this is not in the challenge or the challenge rules or anything. If anything, this is probably against the rules. But since Broken Star, the king himself, was Quillpaw's mentor, and Quillpaw did so well, I believe they deserve the knight status. On this moon, Bubbling Lake and Tumblepaw decide to go and explore the borders. They get caught in an ambush of rogues, but they are quick-witted and able to fight them back, driving them away without trouble. Broken Star hears of this valiant effort to protect the lands, and he is no longer worried about Bubbling Lake, or Tumblepaw for that matter. And so now we will remove a point from them, and they are back to 0. As long as they continue to stay in the king's good graces, they will not have to worry about possibly being demoted, or even exile or death. I have a feeling that Broken Star is a kind enough king that he would choose exile as opposed to death, But that doesn't mean in the future we won't have a king that is a bit more ruthless in his efforts, or even a queen. It is Quillsnout's first patrol as a freshly made knight, and Broken Star sends him out saying, "This is a trial on your own. You must patrol the borders without help and come back alive as your final test." And so that is what he'll do. And Quillsnout does well, discovering a Time Clan apprentice that has strayed a bit too far, and takes this wayward child back across the border. Broken Star is pleased that not only did Quillsnout choose mercy, but still kept the rules of the clan. Silvertail decides to go on a patrol alone, especially since Sneezetree doesn't want to have anything to do with Silvertail being nobility and Silvertail only being a peasant. Silvertail sees an opportunity to possibly get food for the clan, but the fox guarding the shark that's been beached does not want to lose their food and gives Silvertail a nasty bite. But unfortunately, that is a strike against them. Sneezetree gets himself into a very similar situation, finding prey guarded by a fox. And Sneezetree jumps in, hoping to be valiant, hoping to please his king, but he only comes out with a mangled tail. If only Sneezetree had not stuck his nose up to Silvertail, together they might have actually gotten prey. They both come back with empty mouths, empty paws, and have a displeased king. Modelbracken decides that Leopardpaw is ready to patrol the borders. It's one of the more dangerous tasks that they do. Hunting is a bit easier, although it does have its own dangers. But as they're traveling, dark clouds approach on the horizon, wisping up from the angry sea. And they both are worried about continuing, but Modelbracken knows that if they don't, the king is sure to be angry, and so they must. The rain falls and pelts them against their fur, but they have a successful patrol otherwise, reporting no problems on the border, and the king is grateful to them in such bad weather. Having had success the other moon, Bubbling Lake takes Tumblepaw back out to the border for more patrols. They have a very successful patrol, only coming across a loner singing songs near a two-leg nest, but otherwise all is calm, and they report back to their king. Quillsnout, however, is sent out alone once again, but this time he's not successful, and the king does take notice. On the next moon, nothing interesting happens, but everyone is back on patrols as food is getting a bit scarce in the fresh kill pile. Modelbracken takes out his apprentice Leopardpaw, but they are not successful in scavenging food. That is not good for Modelbracken. Bubbling Lake is feeling extremely confident in the border patrols now, thinking that this is where Tumblepaw's strength is, and is hoping that if they go down this path, Tumblepaw would for sure be knighted by Broken Star. He's so confident that he pays no mind to the clouds approaching, the waves crashing against the shore angrily, hungry. Clouds release their rains, torrential, downpouring, causing more and more waves to crash against the shore. They are caught in a sudden flood, and Tumblepaw gets pushed down into the running waters by pieces of passing driftwood, and they do not make it. Bubbling Lake does not see them again, and to Broken Star, this is a great failure. Losing a precious clan member over carelessness is not something that Broken Star is very happy about. Bubbling Lake will now have another strike against them. Quillsnout decides to take Silvertail with him on this patrol, hoping that the company will keep him focused and he'll have an extra pair of fangs and claws to fight off something for food. And he's right. With the help of Silvertail, Quillsnout is able to take on a fox, and they both get nice, delicious shark because the fox was unwilling to fight for it. Now that that has happened, Silvertail loses a strike and returns favor to Broken Star. When Bubbling Lake returns, they do end up working together to find Tumblepaw's body, waterlogged and without life. The clan sits vigil. Quillsnout's voice cracks with grief, talking about the time they had with Tumblepaw. Quillsnout didn't have the mental capacity to stay for the vigil's entirety despite their best efforts. Tumblepaw's death had drained them so much. Teary-eyed, Quillsnout settles into their nest, hopeful that Tumblepaw might visit them in a dream. Tumblepaw was like a sibling to Quillsnout. They were raised together by Mottlebracken, and they had dreams of being knights together. And Quillsnout, now that he is a knight, feels as though it'll never be worth it without Tumblepaw beside him. Bubbling Lake has a very similar experience to Quillsnout, feeling as though they failed their apprentice, both in training and in life. Oh no! This is interesting. Silvertail tries to convince Flyfoot, the queen, to run away with them. Oh dear. Flyfoot goes to her king, Broken Star, and tells him of everything that Silvertail had said. She had played along so that she could see what Silvertail had to say, but she had every intention of telling her king. He sits vigil with Star Clan cats and tries to listen for what to do. He's been mostly merciful and loving, but he is shameless. And Flyfoot, being her vengeful self, had no problem playing along so that Silvertail could dig herself deeper and deeper into her own trap. And now she's sharpening her claws, ready for Broken Star's judgment. Although Bubbling Lake isn't feeling well, Broken Star calls Quillsnout and Bubbling Lake to gather Silvertail to make sure that she doesn't escape. And then he calls a meeting. When Silvertail approaches the great trunk of driftwood leaning over the rocks of the caves that they dwell in, Broken Star sits atop them, looking down. He explains what she has been brought here for and asks if she has anything to say in her defense. Silvertail, however, is also shameless, and she realizes that she's been heavily betrayed by the queen. And so she steps forward and says, "Believe what you want, but I was led on by your queen. Yes, everything she said is true, but I would have never said them if she hadn't come to me first. Whether this is true or not is up to y'all, but the king is taken aback. He doesn't make it obvious, but he feels it in his heart, a seed of doubt against his own queen, and he hates this feeling. A clan cat that would come between him and his queen to possibly destroy royalty can only end in death." And so Broken Star scowls at Silvertail and says, "How dare you speak against my queen in such a manner?" He even says, "If there is truth to what you're saying, then you should have still been the one to step down." And with a final nod to his knights, he sentences her to death. But she's not going to go down without a fight. We're actually going to roll for this. Here we go. So there are no actual rules for this. There is rules for if a cat is acting suspicious, which I could have followed the rules in this situation. However, because this was so unique with trying to convince the queen herself to run away, I wanted to tell this story this way. So what I'm going to do is she is going to have to fight both Bubbling Lake and Quillsnout. So we're going to look at everybody's experience, and the fact that Bubbling Lake is suffering with grief is going to affect his abilities to fight. So Bubbling Lake is grieving. He is an excellent speaker. He's competent with 115 experience. Quillsnout is prepared. A fantastic teacher who is loving, is also grieving. That's not good, but has 76 experience. Silvertail, is prepared, not grieving, and is being threatened. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to essentially roll for each cat's health. I am then going to look at their experience and kind of calculate what their attack would be, what their defense would be, and if they have a status effect. So for example, grieving is going to be a negative. I think for health, we are going to go with a die 10. If they roll below a 5, they get 5 health. That's it. So Silvertail, I rolled a 2, so she only gets 5 health. Quill Snout gets 9. Very nice. Bubbling Lake gets 7. This is already looking really good in our knight's favor. For being shameless, I am going to say that is a +1 to both attack and defense. It means you're willing to pretty much do anything to win. For the experience prepared, I will give a +1 to attack and defense. So right now, Silvertail has a +2 in both attack and defense. Bubbling Lake is a bit childish. I'm going to say that that's a +1 in attack, but a -1 in defense. And the reason for that is a child will typically throw a tantrum and be chaotic about it, but ultimately they're easy to find weaknesses. Competent, I'm going to say is a +2 in attack and defense, which means we have a +3 attack, but with grieving, I'm going to say grieving is a -1 in defense. So right now, Bubbling Lake has no defense, but a +3 attack, so that's good. Next is Quill Snout, who has a very loving trait. Loving would make it hard for him to attack, so I would say that that's going to give him a -1 in attack, but a + in defense. He's still going to be defensive, but maybe he'll have a harder time attacking. As for prepared, I'm going to say +1, which evens him out, but he's grieving. He has a -1 attack. Oh no, I said that was a - in defense, didn't I? So grieving is a - in defense, is that what I said before? That was my bad. I hope I got this right. I may have confused myself. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to keep track of this. I'm going to write it all down. I also might have confused their healths. I know that Silvertail only has 5 health. That's what I know for sure. I may have confused the other one's health. Please just bear with me. Okay. So the way I have it right now, based on everything, is Silvertail has 5 health with a +2/+2. Bubbling Lake has 9 health with a +3 and a 0. And Quill Snout has 7 with 0/0. I'm going to say base attack and defense is 5, and then you add or subtract based on what they have. So we're going to start with Silvertail. Silvertail is going to realize that she's being cornered, and she is going to attack Quill Snout, seeing him as the younger, lesser experienced knight. I ended up making everyone's defense a +15 to make sense to use the D20. And so that's what we're going with. She did roll a 5 + 7 is 12, which does not hit Quill Snout. So Quill Snout, seeing this, is going to retaliate. He rolls a 6 + 5 is 11. That does not beat her armor class. Armor class, that's what it is, armor class. I'm getting it. Anyways, so far they're just swatting at each other, but nobody is actually hit. Bubbling Lake is angry. He's hurt. He's sad. He just lost his apprentice, and he doesn't want to deal with this crap right now. He's going to attack Silvertail as well. None of these cats can roll worth a crap. He rolled a 3 + 8 is 11, still can't hit Silvertail. She is just too agile, dodging their swipes with ease. She's going to take advantage of the fact that they're faltering so easily, and she's going to hop onto Quill Snout's back, in for a bite on the back of the neck. She narrowly misses him. He ducks just in time to send her tumbling into the sands, and he takes advantage of this by turning and rushing at her full speed, but instead he trips on some buried driftwood and ends up taking a lot of damage. His paw gets caught underneath the driftwood, twisting it in an uncomfortable way where he feels a crack. He takes 4 damage. I rolled a d4 and got a 4. I'm gonna kill these cats with my bad rolls. Okay, Here we go. This is going to be a long episode, I apologize. Bubbling Lake is going to see his fellow knight stumble and in a panic rush to save him at Silvertail. What is happening? But she bounces away quickly, getting behind Quill Snout and in hopes of taking advantage of his very vulnerable position. I've rolled 2 nat 1s. She ends up cutting her paw pad on a sharp shell on the sand, not paying attention to where she's going in the heat of battle, and it will cause her 2 points of damage. I may add 10 points to their health for this to make more sense, and it will make it longer, but that's okay. Quill Snout is going to pull himself together, rush at her as she's trying to pick the shards of shell out of her paw pad, and he's going to swipe right on her side, but again, he narrowly misses her. Bubbling Lake will rush at her again, and he'll get a bite into her shoulder, latching on, doing 4 points of damage. I love rolling. This is so exciting because I can't wait to see where this goes. Silvertail feels Bubbling Lake's fangs sink into her shoulder, and she yowls in pain. But without a second thought, she pulls her claws up to try and slash at him on her shoulder. And she manages to snag him, but only for just a little bit, and he loses 1 point of health. It's 1 point of damage. There we go. Quill Snout will try and get back into the fray. In hopes of pinning her down, he will try and latch onto her other side. Is this dice rigged? But as he steps on the paw that he injured with the driftwood, a searing pain rushes through his leg and he trips once again, right into the log itself, taking another 4 points of damage, bro. I'm sorry, I'm trying to take this seriously. I just can't believe I've rolled 3 nat 1s in the last, 5 rolls. Bubbling Lake sees this over Silvertail's shoulder, and he is so annoyed that Quill Snout is falling apart when it comes to his very first real mission as a knight, and he digs his fangs in deeper by letting go and coming back in with all of his might, and he does, dealing 6 damage. Yes. Silvertail is really hurting now, and now she's pleading and begging for mercy to Broken Star, as Bubbling Lake is taking out all of his anger and grief out on her shoulder. But she doesn't want to give up. She continues to try and slash at Bubbling Lake. This time she really gets him and does 4 points of damage. The shock of the claws against his neck are enough to make him let go. Quill Snout is still trying to pull himself together and comes at her again. And he slashes at her shoulder, right next to her jugular. But it is not enough. It is not deep enough, and backs away from them. She's bleeding. She's hurt. And she's going to try and run for it. But Bubbling Lake is going to go after her. And with a final pounce, he gets onto the back of her neck and bites down. The final blow. Silvertail and all of that treachery is defeated, mostly by Bubbling Lake. Bubbling Lake did so well in this fight that Broken Star looks down upon him and says that with StarClan as his witness, Bubbling Lake will now be named as nobility for protecting the crown, for protecting the royal family. Broken Star says nothing about Quill Snout, seemingly giving him a very cold shoulder. He sees his effort, but is disappointed in his actions. Bubbling Lake is now nobility with Sneeze Tree. Quill Snout is a knight, but another knight is needed. Mottle Bracken and Leopard Paw are the last remaining peasants, and Broken Star sees a broken clan, and that seed of doubt is still within him about his queen. But we'll have to find out what happens with this small clan in the next episode of Sun Clan. This may have been split into 2 videos, and I apologize if there's a weird cut, but that's because this battle lasted so long. I really enjoyed rolling for everything. Let me know if you think that system I used was fair, or if you have better ideas on how we can do health and attack and defense, because I would love to see this continually used in the future. if I don't lose my words before the end of this episode. Anyways, I hope you liked it. If you did, tickle and poke that like button. Subscribe to join our family if you haven't already. We are trying to reach 3K by my birthday. Also, don't forget to ring that bell, jingle it with all your might so you're notified of when I post other clangen videos. I love you guys. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next week for more of Sun Clan.